have Erik Swanson. He and I met in a Clubhouse room. Anybody here on Clubhouse? So Clubhouse, right? It has been a real, I think, game changer for a lot of people. So, all right, this is about to load right now. And let me make sure. Oh, here it is. Ooh, can you hear that feedback? Erik, how are you?
I'm great. I feel great. I feel energized.
Good. You are popping. You're bouncing. I love it.
Is the feedback on my end or not? No?
Oh, no. Do you hear yourself all right?
I feel great. I look great. I mean, I sound great. There's no feedback over here. We're good.
All right, I'm gonna do one little quick system thing here to fix things up. All right. Can you count to 3 for me? 1, 2, 3.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. We are doing it. We are live on YouTube with Erik Swanson. Let me tell you a little bit about Erik Swanson, everybody. So thank you for being here. First off,
thank you for inviting me. You're awesome, Christine. Thank you for inviting me. This is awesome.
Thank you. You are awesome. And
I want a headset like you. Now I'm going to go. I'll be right back. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I joke around a lot.
Tempted.
Can you tell? I'm like,
yes, I can tell. So, all right, everyone, hello. Welcome to Podcast Coaching with Christine. This is a resource for growth, inspiration, and community for podcasters. I am your host, Christine O'Donnell. I'm an Emmy-nominated TV journalist and podcast coach. My mission is to help people change the world with their stories, to use their voice to make an impact. You guys, one of the best ways to make an impact is to get on stage. One of the best ways to grow your show, get it on stage, public speaking. But this is also, and Erik knows this, one of my biggest fears. And I think this blows people away, right? Because I was a TV news reporter in Los Angeles for NBC News Channel in New York. But you only look at a camera, not at a bunch of faces looking back at you. And there is this like deep-seated fear and vulnerability that comes up for me. And if it comes up for you too, that is what we are going to talk about today. So I'm going to introduce you, Erik, based on your bio that you've shared in your amazing media kit on your website. So if anyone is looking for an amazing media kit, check out Erik's website. Let's do this here. It says, in the journey of success, sometimes you get a chance to come across an individual who has really walked the walk and delivers straight from the heart. Erik Swanson has done just that. He has spent the past 18 years working with and sharing the stages with top experts such as Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins. He has a number of best-selling books. He has worked with the best-selling book author of The Secret, as well as Think and Grow Rich. You guys, Erik, welcome to the stage. Also, excuse me, Erik, Mr. Awesome.
That's a whole story all in its own, by the way.
Swanson. Yes. Well, tell me about it.
Really good to see you. Whoops. Really good. Great to see you, Christine. All right. So I got my nickname by a gentleman named Les Brown as I was coming off a stage one time. So I run a lot of I'm on stages, obviously. And I want to talk to you more about the fear factor of the stage. We definitely need to dive deep into that because, guys, we're all on a stage right now. This is a stage right here. So I want to share some ideas on that. But I was coming off a stage one time in, I think it was in California at a big conference. And I was coming off the stage and there were a bunch of people wanting to high five me and everything because I high five people. It's crazy. And there was a gentleman there and he's pointing at me. He's the only one pointing, right? Everyone else is high fiving and he's the only one pointing. And it was Les Brown. And he was sharing the same platform at that conference. And he goes, "You're Mr. Awesome." Now, when Les Brown, famous motivational speaker like he is, names you Mr. Awesome, you kind of keep that moniker, right? You keep that and you run with it. So that's the quick version of the story of how I got the name Mr. Awesome. So it's not about me being awesome. It's about all of us being awesome.
Yeah. And I think we all have this awesomeness hiding inside of us, but sometimes we forget it. or
Yeah.
sometimes we feel overwhelmed by our fear or this judgment of putting ourselves out there. And at least for me, I know it's one thing for me to be on stage when NBC is co-signing me or Fox is co-signing me or ABC. Like, it's
Right.
one thing for me to put myself out there as I'm Christine O'Donnell with Fox 11 News versus I'm Christine O'Donnell with Podcast Coaching with Christine.
Right.
Let's talk about how to grow your show, your brand, your business. Like, let's get in there and do it together, guys.
Yeah.
So there is this feeling, this uncomfortability with putting yourself out there. And I would love to start off talking about where you started. Like,
Do you mind if we start right there? I have so many
yeah,
ideas of what you just said. Oh my gosh, I want to dive. So just
yes,
real quick, and then we'll go. I don't mean to steer the conversation, but
go for it.
you bring up something really important. It's so interesting. I'm hearing you say, there's a difference between Christine O'Donnell with Fox News or Christine O'Donnell with Christine O'Donnell. There's a difference. And I think the difference in our mind, and we're naturally drawn to this because we, as human beings, we don't want to, we have this fear of doing it wrong, maybe for someone else, or messing up for Fox News or NBC or whatever that is. We're on the hook to really perform for them rather than being on the hook for performing for ourselves. And I believe wherever you show up, if you're authentic and true to yourself as a podcaster, as a speaker, as an author, as a human being, as a person walking into Starbucks, anywhere you are, everything is a stage. I actually did a stage presentation and I called it Everything is a Stage. We are all on stages. And I believe if you're true, authentic to yourself, then that fear factor kind of goes away a little bit. You diminish it a tiny bit because you're showing up for yourself, and Fox News gets to hang out with Christine O'Donnell or Erik Swanson. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for a few years now. So I know what it feels like, what the pivot is like, where all of a sudden, well, for me, it happened all of a sudden where it's like, oh, I can trust in myself. I can
Right.
trust in my expertise. I can trust in my own story and my own abilities and capabilities. But sometimes getting there is really difficult. And this is also coming back from, like, I have a background in public speaking.
Right.
I've spoken to millions of people
Right.
through the news medium, but speaking as myself is a whole different thing. And now podcasters are speaking as themselves more and more. And a conversation I have with so many people, Erik, is I've had my microphone for a year, but I just like haven't recorded my first episode yet. Or like I've recorded my first episode, but I can't push publish.
Okay.
Or I've pushed publish, but have I told anybody?
Right.
No, no, I haven't. I'm living under the table, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, because I'm nervous. I'm scared what people are gonna think.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Okay. So that's exactly the point I'm trying to drive home right in the beginning of this interview, is the fact that if you are authentic to yourself, and all you have to do is please yourself. Brian Tracy used to tell me this. I grew up 24 years ago. I started in this industry of self-development, and you were asking a little background on me. There you go. So I started 24 years ago. Brian Tracy, he's huge. Everyone probably knows who he is. He's kind of similar to like Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins, and Brian's really respected in the industry. And I worked with him for a good 8 years. I was a top senior trainer with him, and I traveled the world with him. It was amazing. And I was at an event one time in Houston, Texas. And this is like I wasn't really like this, jump on stage, I'm amazing kind of thing. I didn't have that confidence yet. And it's all like a muscle, right? In building up that confidence. Same thing for podcasters. It's just building up the confidence muscle. And what Brian Tracy told me is this. He said, like, if somebody else has done it, then you can do it. Nobody else is better than anyone. It's amazing. And this whole pandemic has actually proved that, where everyone has an even playing field now, because there's so many people that were on the physical stages. Like, you come from the background of podcasting. I come from the background physical stages, being in front of audiences, and we all had to pivot. So there's an even playing field now, because there's so many people out there that want you, right? Want you as in the audience member, whoever's listening and watching this, right? So it's interesting. So I was in Houston, Texas, and I was in the back of the room. Brian Tracy was on stage, and this gentleman comes up to me, and actually was sitting down. He calls me over to him, and I go over and I say, yes, and I said, can I help you? And he says, yeah, Erik, what are you doing with Brian? And I said, oh, I'm the best. I was like trying to be all confident, right? Because I was talking to this gentleman. He's pretty famous. I'll tell you who he is in a second. And I said, well, I'm the best salesperson ever for Brian Tracy, and I'm the man. He goes, what do you really want to do? This is what he asked me. And I thought about it for a while. I went away, and then by the end of the day, I came back and I said, Mr. Rohn, I was talking to the one and only Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn is a extremely famous motivational speaker in the self-development world. And I said, Mr. Rohn, I figured out I want to work on my own habits and my attitudes, and I want to help people with their habits and their attitude as well. And he said, you should put that together. So that's literally, Christine, how I put Habitual Warrior together, the words together. I don't think he meant for me to put the words together, but that's what I did. He's since passed now, but that was the genesis of my company years and years ago. And it's all about confidence level. It's all about getting into your real you. And it's amazing. And it's kind of like we all have to remind ourselves constantly that we all have a voice, and there's always an audience member out there seeking what you personally have. You, Christine, myself, everyone here in the audience, you have a voice, and people are yearning for what you have. So if you think about it, you're almost doing a disservice by not getting started earlier and getting out there and putting yourself out there. And my dear friend, her name's Sharon Lechter. She wrote the book, if you guys are familiar with this, Think and Grow Rich for Women. She's an amazing, dear friend of mine. She always says this, people say, take a leap of faith. She says, take a leap with faith.
I love that. So there's a couple different things I want to break down. Habit plus attitude plus faith, right?
Yes.
These are three talking points that you mentioned here.
Yep.
And I'd love to talk about what it takes to really develop a habit and to change your habits, right? Because I feel like all of our habits have changed a little bit during the pandemic.
Yeah.
By the way, how's the pandemic been for you?
Yeah, because people are making us, the pandemic made us all change habits, right? So we need to change our own habits that are consistent in congruency with our ultimate vision, right? So I love that. How's the pandemic for me? If that was a question to me, yeah, it's been great. I mean, it sounds weird, right? I don't wish a pandemic on the world. That's not what I'm saying, okay? But it's amazing. It's funny. I'm taking a sips of water right now because I do a lot of these interviews pretty much all day long, and it's funny. It's a reminder. So this is a really good point for the audience listening as well. Have little reminders everywhere that you live. So what I just wrote on the back of this is a regular therma, whatever it's called, right? Glass, but I just put decide to be awesome, right? So it's just little things. So when I see it, when I drink, I'm like, oh yeah, decide to be awesome. That's right. You owe it to yourself, because the more awesome I am, the more awesome around me is, right?
Yeah.
So it's a constant reminder. But anyway, the pandemic has been, for business wise, I mean, I was talking to my friend Laurel Langmeyer from The Secret. You guys are probably familiar with The Secret. And I was just talking to her 2 days ago, and she's like, this is like the most growth pattern we've ever seen, and it's interesting. Honestly, Christine, this is crazy. I'm going to tell you this, but so I run these conferences and events. I don't know if you can see all the stuff back there. And by the way, I really can you tell that I like podcasting and everything? I've got, can you tell how many mics? Let's take a quiz here. How many mics do you see in the, oh, do you see another one?
I see at least 5 mics in this picture.
There you go.
5.
Hold on, wait. I got another one over here. And wait, no, only 5? Wait a minute.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I only saw 5.
I gotta get out of the way. I see 3, 4. I see 5, I think. Yeah, 5, 6.
Okay. Is that one laying there in front of the books?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I wasn't sure if that was a mic or not.
That's the Elvis mic. That's the
Oh,
Shure
that
Elvis
looks like
mic.
that looks like the emoji.
Oh,
Um,
so it's a beautiful mic.
it
And
is
there's
beautiful.
one right here. Check it out.
Yep. That was one of them I was counting.
Oh,
So,
wait, you missed this one. You missed the Pro down there. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off a key here. But the point is, I was trying to make a point about something. I lost my train of thought, but I love mics, and there was a train of thought in there. The secret. Oh, so I was talking to Laura Langmeyer. Thank you. And can you tell I have AD? What was the other one? Oh yeah, D. Yeah. So I was talking to Laura Langmeyer, and she and I were talking about the fact that it's like the growth pattern because of the pandemic has been crazy. And I used to go out there every month. My expenses were literally around $20,000 to $30,000 a month to put on these events, to bring in all 30 speakers, to build the venue, to do all the things that we needed to do for the Habitual Warrior Conference. And it was great. We had a 2-year waiting list to get on our stages. It was awesome, and it still is. But the thing is, I went from $20,000 a month of expenses down to, let me think about it, $70 for my internet. That's it. There you go. $70 for my internet and what, $200 for a mic. So I'm telling you, it's crazy because you could build business just from the comfort of your own home.
yes, we can do it. We can all do it. So I really like, and if you feel comfortable doing this, when was this hard for you?
I feel comfortable with any question, by the way. Let's see. When was it hard for me?
When was speaking hard for you?
Speaking. Okay.
Mhm.
All the time.
Is it still hard for you now?
Absolutely. And if it's not, then you are not truly growing. Here's the interesting paradox. It's self-development and self-improvement, right? That's the line of work that I'm in. And by definition, that means I'm constantly improving. I'm constantly developing myself. That means I'm constantly not at the level that I want to be because I want to grow to the next level. So you're constantly having a struggle, if you call it. I call it challenges, right? You have a challenge or obstacle, and who better to deal with a challenge or obstacle than yourself, right? And that's a habit that you develop. It's so really, and I'm being totally serious here. Like, the struggle is always there. It's always looking to grow to the next level, because if you don't have that struggle, then it's a few things happen. One is it gets too easy, you get complacent, or you grow an ego.
So
Does that make sense? Can you follow me on
I
it?
mean, it does make sense. And I'll put this into context for myself. So I was a TV news reporter for over a decade, and goodness, I had my beginning years. Woo! I made some mistakes on air, guys.
Which mistake? Tell us about a mistake. I want to hear a mistake.
I know. Okay, here, I will put myself out there. I mean, I have a number of them, but I think one of the most embarrassing moments for me was when I was working in Augusta, Georgia. This was my first market where I was actually on camera. And also, I like to call that first year working in TV news in Augusta, Georgia, my jading period, because I think I thought I knew what it was going to be like to be a TV news reporter. But I didn't really. Like, I didn't really know. Like, I didn't really realize that on that when something awful happened, I had to be the first person to show up on that family member's doorstep and ask them to talk to me. Like, I didn't realize necessarily that those were the majority of stories that I was going to be covering is literally the worst day of someone's life. Like,
Wow.
that is not something I was expecting.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult for me to like overcome and to not cry all the time
Yeah.
because it was very emotional and empathetic, and I'd cry through interviews because it was really difficult for me to talk to people and even ask them. I felt like such a jerk asking them to talk to me at this time. I did find that for some people it was really helpful. Like, it was really therapeutic for them to share their stories. And I don't claim to be a therapist. I'm not. I just think for some people it was really helpful to connect with someone and talk about the good stuff. So one day, Richmond County Prison it's a jail, Richmond County Jail. It's a 8-story building, and I think it's 8. And at the top is the worst prisoners. And then like it goes down, right? And the first 2 floors are administration. So like the really bad guys are on top. Is like a long tower. And the baddest guys decided to flood the toilets. And then they convinced the guys in the 7th floor and the 6th floor and the 5th floor and the 4th floor. And so they're all flooding their toilets, so much so that the floor above administration, like, just it collapses. Thank you. So payroll is on that floor.
Oh.
And so all of the Richmond County's payroll, they weren't going to be able to get paid because they weren't digital at that point.
Oh.
And so there was a bunch of people who were missing their paychecks, and also there was
really shitty, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so there was a lot of bad stuff. So it's just everywhere. It's just a gross story, but like funny story, but also like really frustrating story because people didn't have the money they needed to pay their bills. And so I was there to cover it, and it was everybody's lead story because it was so captivating.
Yeah.
And so I'm there, and so I'm with NBC 26 News, and then there's like WRDW Channel 12 and Channel 6 CBS and the Fox station, and all 4 of us are there ready to cover it, and the lights are on, the cameras, I hear my person in my ear, and like the anxiety is building, right? Like, because everybody's there and all the lights are on and we feel it. And then I'm like looking at the camera, I'm ready to go. I'm like, I got this. I was made for this. They said, go. They tossed to me, and I froze.
You froze?
Headlights. I like couldn't remember what to say. And I just was like, you know what, guys? Like, I feel myself right now, like remembering what my body was going through, like the sweating, the saliva in my mouth, and like
the flushness of your face. Right?
Everything was just.
Can you actually feel it right now? Like,
yeah, I can feel it remembering it. Yeah. And I said, you know, it's just a real pain in the butt, what happened. And then in my head, I was thinking, I know, yeah, it would be perfect if I had the confidence to go with it, but I didn't. Instead, I was backtracking, and I was like, oh my God, I just said butt on camera. I said, butt, is butt allowed? I don't know. And so like, I think I was 24 at this point in my life, and I was just like second guessing all of the decisions I had ever made. And then I froze after I said but and couldn't say anything else. And my producer says, like, Christine, do you have your script in your hands? And I just kind of like nodded, and he was like, okay, look down and read it. Just read it. And so I looked down and I read it. Perfect. And then I tossed a soundbite out to me, back to camera, and the rest of it was fine. Like, I got through it. He calmed me down. He made me feel good. Brendan Robertson, if you were out there, you were the producer that day. I know you still work in Augusta. At least I believe you do, because I stalk you on Facebook every once in a while. Yeah, I got through it, but I was for sure like thought I was going to get fired after that. Like 100%. I was like, they're not going to keep me. This is going to be awful. This was the worst day. I cried again. So again, part of my jading period, but that was one of my like most embarrassing public speaking moments.
All right. So I have a technique for if you're going to public speak. I'm not sure if all of your audience is going to be on like stages public speaking, but if they are, I mean, that's great. In fact, they should be, because you know, if you are an amazing podcaster like Christine is, you're going to be invited to go and speak on stages and share, you know, the limelight out there to share your brilliance of what, you know, your brilliance is really bringing a great interview to the audience members and great stories and lessons, right? So if I had, let's say, here's the quick tip. Let's say I'm going to be speaking about, I have like 3 or 4 or 5 different bullet points. What do you call it? Your script? They said, Christine, do you have a script? Okay. Yeah. So I have 2 points on this. I'll say the first one is, let's say I'm going to come on stage, whether it's a physical stage, a virtual stage like this, or a physical stage. And I want to talk about, let's say, one of my books. This is a cool book. It's called Social Millions. I wrote it, 3 years ago. It doesn't have to be your book though. It could be, you know, let's say I bring this one right here. Sorry, I'm coming off camera for a second. Here we go. Think and Grow Rich. Pretty easy, right? Book. A great book. So let's say I'm going to talk about Think and Grow Rich. And what I'll do is I'll bring it in on stage and I'll just hold it, right? I'll just hold it like this. Nobody can really see what's happening, right? But what I'll do is I'll put some, those what are they called? Sticky notes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sticky notes. You put it on the back of the book. So this will be like my little sticky note. And I put little things, little points, that I want to, like bullet points of the script I want to speak about on stage. So I'll do that. And basically you're just holding up the book. And sometimes you're going to reference it. You're going to go, this, guys, I want to talk about my next point is, and you look at the thing just down here off camera, let's say, but people don't know that you have literally a cheat sheet right behind the book. Does that make sense?
So smart. And also I want to point out something that you did, right? Because when we go to think, we normally look up, but that does not translate to an audience or through a camera. So if you're going to address something, instead of looking up and off camera to the side, look down.
Yeah.
Gather yourself. It just comes across to everyone like as more put together. Yeah. Like know that you're still put together when you're thinking, but looking down. So that was just such a great point. So looking down and just kind of off.
I definitely went off camera there to grab something else on my bookcase. Check this out. I have another great idea. This is an amazing idea. So check this out. So you could, I love this idea. So you could go, let's say you have, just one page of notes. And by the way, when you're going to do a script, don't do it word for word. Just bullet point it. All right. So let's say I have a bullet point script in here. But what I'll do is I'll come on stage. I literally did this one time. There was Bob Proctor was there, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, all the greats, Sharon Lechter, Laura Langmeyer, all these of the peers that I speak on stage now with, they were there. Okay. And I was nervous. All right. You're talking about struggle. It's like, I break. Oh, here's another trick or technique, right? You call it technique. You grab, like, let's say I'm going to wear this shirt, whatever shirt I'm going to wear, I'd wear a nicer shirt on the stage and suit and jacket. But what you want to do is have two of them. All right. So just because you're going to sweat through that first one. Right? So have two of the same exact outfit. Yes.
I'm going to put you on blast.
Yes? Yeah. On blast.
You have a second shirt like that? Because you told me that's your lucky shirt. It's your favorite shirt.
Don't talk about this
shirt.
Notice I'm not going on camera with my shirt right now. Yeah, don't do that.
Lucky shirt.
Right, maybe we'll talk about this shirt on the blooper reel towards the end of this program. Okay. So guys, stick around for the end of this because you will see what's cool about this particular shirt. Notice the camera angles that I'm using here, by the way, Christine. I'm very smart about it. So check this out. So here's the book. Oh my gosh, Christine, you know what? I'm just gonna share with you what I'm talking about.
Do it.
When I went into this right here, this book, you see this, it's a beautiful leather bound, amazing book with all of the secrets that I've I've worked with over the last 24 years is in this book. And I'd like to share with you a few stories from this. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. So time out. That was my intro on stage.
Okay.
Now I open up the book to whatever page and I'm just going to talk about that. Guess what's in this book? Zero, nothing. Okay. There's nothing in this book. There's absolutely nothing in this book. It's just a notebook. I got it at Walgreens. Okay. So the scoop is you're going to put your chicken scratch notes in sticky notes in one of the books and put the little tassel there. So now you're opening it up going, oh my gosh. Yep. This is the story I want to share. And you put down the book. And then when you're ready for the next script or part of your speech, grab the all amazing book, right? See how that works?
So I'm curious, so some people, when they get on stage, they get the shakes, right? They get a little nervous, like their hands start to shake a little. It's just like their excitement. It's the adrenaline. It's coming up. So does holding that book, giving you something to do with your hands like that, is it also like a tool, like a power tool? Like, hey, if I'm holding this, I can like get my energy out. I can engage the audience. I can like make a point. It's like show and tell, but it also gets out some of the jitters.
It does. Yeah. And that works for about 80% of the population, meaning it's not going to work 100%, meaning obviously, meaning there's a population out there that this would make them even more nervous and they're going to forget what they came for to speak on. And they're going to shake it and they're going to start fiddling with it. Easy sign on that is if somebody has a pen, right? And you start doing the pen, click, click, click on the pen. So you got to be very cautious of that. I learned this a long time ago with Brian Tracy. Let me see if I can grab a pen. Here we go. So we used to use, the Sharpies and the magic erase board markers, whatever, when we go in to do a presentation in front of 100, 200, 300 people, and we're using a whiteboard, let's say. What I'll do is, he taught me to take the pen, the magic eraser, right? What do you call it? Dry erase marker. You take the marker, you use it, and then put it in one pocket. And I used to put it in my front left pocket. Boom. There it is. I know for a fact it's always going to be in that pocket, and I'm not going to fiddle with it. And then when I'm ready for it, where is it? Front left pocket. Bring it out. Boom. This is the sign of a professional who, and that's what Brian instilled in me, is professionalism. You're like, really? He didn't do a good job today. But the thing is, and that's a good point, by the way, he instilled all of these amazing professionalism techniques, but then I took those and put them in my own personality, because I can't be this rigid, somebody else. I want to be the awesome me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
A couple other quick thoughts. Lay's potato chips. Little salty, little oily, right? Mm-hmm. Do that before you go on stage, about 20 minutes before, and just take a few bites and then a glass of water, and you're good, because that settles you and it helps you speak eloquently. It's amazing.
Lay's potato chips. Those like plain ones are for sure one of my favorites.
There you go. That's one of the secrets when you're going on stage. The other thing is breathe. I have a breathing exercise. It's called Breathe 33. And it's just 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. Just do that. And it's only 6 seconds, right? Breathe 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. And guess what? You let blood come back up and oxygen come up to your brain. And then you can think. And then you can get back to this, whatever you're going to speak about. And here's another thing that I do is, if you notice, I'm very like hands-on. I'm very animated, right? So I'll use those animations and I'll say, oh, guys, this is what we're going to talk about right now. And you have no idea what you're going to talk about, but then you're like, oh, now I'm going to look, right? So you use those little those animations to be able to get the excitement from the audience. And then you have a couple seconds, it might be just a millisecond, to remember what you are going to speak about, right? And there's some what I call filler words, but there are good ones and bad ones. Some people do bad ones and they constantly talk about or use these filler words, whatever those are. Let's say would be one of them. I rarely say I rarely say all the filler words that people use. So be cautious there. There's an app on iPhone, I believe, or Android as well, that teaches you and records you on your speeches and shares with you statistics of what you're doing too much of, right? I used to say, wow. Yeah, it's awesome. It was called I think it's called I don't know if it's still around, but it was an amazing tool a few years back. And what I used to say was in regard to. I used to say that a lot. And then I started noticing I was saying it. And then I used to say right. And it really was like kind of like a pet peeve of mine after I noticed it on video camera, because I'm sharing a story and then I go right. And I'm thinking, wait, they don't know if it's right. Why am I saying right to myself? So I noticed that I was using it for myself instead of the audience.
That's so funny to me, because these things that you're talking about, there are cues that reporters do all the time. If I watch some of my old tapes back, I consistently say now before now, or I say, or now this, now that, now that. It's like this word that just like is right there. Yeah. And I didn't even hear myself say it. I didn't even know it. I was not conscious of it. And it was just something that would come up in me because I was nervous. Yeah. And I was just trying to do the best I could. So,
and the secret, that's a great point. And you use these animations like what I was talking about with this. You use them. You just use them right now. You do this. Are you Italian? You do this. No. And it's amazing. And that's great, because you're making a point. You're making a point to yourself and to the audience, which is nice. So another thing to recall or remember, to remember at all times when you go on stage, again, a stage could be any stage. It could be this stage. You could tell I have zero script, right? But that's just my personality. I love it. Of course, if I had to script this, I would. And here's a secret. You guys really want to see my secret? Can I off camera again? Hold on. Here's the secret. Oh, you're going to love this. Oh, for podcasters. Oh, you're going to love this. All right. Here's the secret. All right. This cost me $5 at Walgreens or a convenience store. Here it is. Check this out. Let me grab 2 sheets. Boom. They're not 8.5 by 11. They're literally, the legal size piece of paper, right?
Okay.
You with me on this? They're a cardboard piece of paper. I can go ahead and write all my cool notes and cool things, right? And check this out. I'm going to put both of them up here let me go this way. Excuse me, audio. And I'm just going to put it right there. And we'll do it this way. And there we go. All right, rock and roll. So, Christine, what I'd like to do is talk to you today about, now I could go off of 2 boards right in front of me and you could probably see me through the camera, which is right there, and you can't see my notes. You follow me on this?
Yeah. So what he's done is he's taken these 2 big sheets of paper and just put them next to his camera. So maybe for someone who is going to be doing a brand new speaking gig, having some notes right off the camera, right out of frame, just hung up, taped to your computer monitor, hung up on the wall behind you, just propped up right near the camera lens. So you don't really have to look so far off screen. That will still work for you, right? Our presidents have used prompters for years. This is just part of what you do. It's just, it's part of it. And they can be bullet points, or they might be full sentences. And I know, I want to bring this up though. I'm going back and forth about it because I know we talk about bullet points. Sometimes it takes extra confidence to just have bullet points. You might need, for me as a journalist, goodness, I would write out my full script. I can pull up notes to my entire scripts, still from my phone because I never delete stuff. Hashtag hoarder, digital hoarder right here.
Digital hoarder.
Everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If you've ever sent me an email, I guarantee you I still have it. So if I were to look into my notes, I can actually read, and I write out a full script. And so it takes an additional amount of confidence to go off script and to just have those bullet points. And some reporters are able to do this right off the bat. It's very simple. It's very easy for them. But for some of us, it's just not. Just having bullet points does take an extra skill. So if you are that person, I understand you, I feel you, and I've been there. So
I'll show you my expertise on that if you'd like.
Yeah.
The secret to bullet points. So here's the deal. And there's a couple different scenarios, or a lot of scenarios. You're on camera or on stage. We're talking about on camera though. So you wouldn't use these bullet points that way and write it all out. If you're in front of an audience in front of you, and you would probably use the bullet points like we were talking about before. And that means you need to memorize what you're going to speak about, or just have that conversation about it, right? So on camera though, what I would do is, and I've done this many, many times, you have the bullet points. So you go ahead. I actually don't write the bullet points first. I write the script first, then I bullet point it. And then I go back and review off. I throw away the script and I look at the bullet points and I write out the script of the bullet points again, longhand, I guess you call it, right? Write it out on one piece of paper. And I always use one piece of paper. That's another key strategy that I use, because if you're gonna use bullet points and or scripts and it has too many pages, then you're fumbling and you're turning pages, right? And that's why I was referring to this strategy, this strategy of the 2 big whiteboards in front of you. So what I've done is this, and just to wrap up this thought, bullet points, and I still have, I should show it to you. It'd be so cool, but I'd have to go off camera and grab it on my computer. I still have the very first speech I've ever delivered in my life. And this is 24 years ago. I remember the date. It was January 5th, 1998.
So it was a traumatic moment in your life.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course. But I used my personality and I breathed and I believed in myself. So I was nervous as heck, but I still delivered, right? And here's the secret. Nobody knows what you're about to say.
Yeah.
So don't get hung up on, oh, I missed this, or I missed that mark, or I meant to say this. Do you know how many speeches I've delivered? And by the way, I deliver about, I don't know, I'm on about 240 stages a year for the last 20 plus years. Okay. So, and those are physical stages. And now I'm doing like 3 of these a day, right? Because of pandemic. So I've delivered a lot of speeches, and I've noticed that people don't know what you're going to say. So don't get hung up on it where after you get off of stage or off a camera and you say, oh, I forgot to say this. It's okay, because they're not going to call you and go, you forgot to say this. They don't know what your speech is. Right. Does that make sense? So, so the trick is for me, and this works for me, this might not work for everyone, but the bullet points, I literally freehand write out those bullet points on one piece of paper. So I know that I have it. It's kind of like a test. And I do that. I do that quickly. I could do that before, like 15, 20 minutes and half an hour before I go on to camera. I'll do that in a lobby of I don't actually do it in the lobby because there's people walking around and they know you're the next speaker. So maybe you go up to your hotel room and you just jot it down. Boom, boom, boom. Got it. And then tell yourself you got this. And that's the confidence level. And the fear factor goes a little lower, right? But then use that fear factor. What I always do is I embrace the fear, and I say, I should feel this way. This is how Les felt. This is how Napoleon Hill felt. This is how all the greats feel. And if they don't feel that, then they're not human. So I want to feel that, and I want to take that energy of awesomeness and put it into the camera. You could probably feel the energy of awesomeness right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can feel it, but I'm like fired up. So when are we going to go live, by the way? We're going to hit.
We've been going live. I would love to kind of like been a fly on Amanda Gorman's shoulder when she delivered that poem at the White House.
Wow.
Right? Like, this
Love
is a
it. Wow.
young woman. She
Yeah.
just, I believe, graduated college. Like, she's a young woman. The poise, the confidence, the ability to command, and also to share her words, like her words that she wrote that capture a moment of time in a way to engage people across the country. For me, it felt like a very bipartisan speech because I felt like she talked to everyone.
Yeah.
Um, and how'd she do it? What was her thing? Was it the headband? I mean, I sometimes wonder, like, what was
You have
like,
like an earpiece and
she had a couple things. She had a ring that Oprah gave her of a caged of a bird, like, to, remind her of Maya Angelou, and you know the poem. Why, is it the book poem Why the Caged Bird Sings?
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah, she's like a cross between the future Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, and who else? Like, she's amazing.
yeah,
I thought wasn't she? I thought she had notes in front of her on the podium. I thought, but
did she? Maybe she did, but she,
again,
like,
again, so.
I missed it because I was so captivated and,
Well,
like,
you got to figure she is extremely passionate about what she was speaking about, which I
mhm,
love. And she, it came from the heart. And all she had to do was get those are the filler words to make the
mhm,
sentence complete. Right.
yeah,
So amazing. And
yeah,
what's even I love is I saw on the news one day, there's a mother, I don't know where she lives, Ohio, maybe, can't remember where she lives. And her young daughter, 7, 8 year old daughter, wants to, they have this game, this sort of game, but it's really a cool game, that the daughter dresses up, and they've been doing this for a few years now. The daughter dresses up as a famous, awesome leader. It doesn't have to be famous, but somebody leading the field of awesomeness in humanity. And so she would dress up like Oprah one day. She would dress up like, and like to the T, like you could see a side by side photo, Oprah and then this little girl. And she started when she was like 5 years old. She just loved
mhm,
playing dress up. So she would look like all these amazing individuals, from Billie Holiday to all these famous African American heroes. And she did the same with this young lady we're talking about. So amazing.
yeah. I also think that there's probably this, like, confidence, this mindset that switches when you imagine yourself as this amazing speaker, this amazing person that you admire. Because maybe when you embody that, I feel like this happens for actors and actresses sometimes when they, like, dress the part. all of a sudden they feel the part. So I think that like, if ever you are struggling to like get on stage or like to perform in front of the microphone, maybe just that day, dress the part like of what you imagine this person, this version of yourself looks like, because that might help empower you to take that next step and push record or push publish or to tell people. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I love that. And, I'm sure you guys do this already. You don't need me to train you on this, but push record and just, push record privately, don't go public, practice, and see how that works. But the thing is, don't beat yourself up, because you're always going to find that it's not going to be perfect. Right.
Mm,
Nothing's perfect. And if you're looking for perfection, you probably won't find it. You'll probably be a little disappointed with yourself. So I always, and that's why I use my personality, because this is the real me. And a lot of
mhm.
people, they ask me throughout the whole years I've been doing this, they say, well, is that, great friends of mine tell me other people ask them, is that the real Erik? Is he really like that on stage and off stage? And they're like, yep, because that's the way I am. I'm literally like, if I go to a Starbucks, I'm high-fiving people,
Have you always
of
been
course,
an
masked up, right?
yeah, have you always been an extrovert?
No, I wasn't. Great question. I started when I was in grade school. I got bullied big time. Like I was, I was. It's a memory of mine that I was like taller this way than this way. So so I decided that in sophomore year to junior year, when I grew about a foot taller, I decided not to get bullied anymore. So I went to these people bullying me in high school. I'm like, it's not going to happen anymore. So the confidence came in, and I decided at that point, that was the summer time between my sophomore and junior year of high school. I decided that I'm going to be the best version of me, and I'm not going to be timid anymore or shy anymore. And I'm actually going to be the person. Like I looked at the bus. I remember this vividly, because we moved from a school that I was just a blip in the map. Basically, there were 3,000 kids in Washington D.C. That's where I grew up, and then I moved to Vermont, Burlington, Vermont. So I went to school in a little tiny place called Jericho, Vermont, and it was called Mount Mansfield Union High School. And I looked at the bus, and I said, I don't know any of these people, and I'm sure some of them are really popular and some of them are, not. And I said, I'm just going to be the popular one now. I just decided like that. It's the Japanese term called Satorai, which means instant awakening or instant enlightenment. And I just decided right then, I was like, I'm done. That's it. And I was listening to Wayne Dyer at the time. I'm like, yep, I'm going to pick. Yeah, I'm not going to pick the fear factor anymore. I'm going to pick the awesome factor. And that's where it came in from. So it was my junior year of high school.
Wow. So everything switched for you junior year of high school.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got a frog with glasses.
What is that? What does that mean?
It's a painting, obviously, and
Mhm.
it's a painting that reminds me of one of Brian's amazing 42 books he has in the market. One of them is called Eat That Frog. And Eat That Frog, it's a great concept for your listeners, actually. Eat That Frog is simply if you have the concept, it's a time management concept and a confidence concept. But the story is, if you have a big bucket of frogs, like if I handed you a big bucket of frogs to swallow, like you have to swallow all of these 20 frogs. Which one do you swallow first, the biggest one or the little tiny one to get started? And Brian's concept is swallow the biggest one because the rest go down easier.
Yeah.
So that's the concept.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. I was going to say the biggest one, so the rest of them go down and I go down easier.
And these are just
Um,
reminders behind me. Like
yeah.
literally, these are like Tony talks about what's called TOMA, top of mind awareness, TOMA. And these are just reminders, love conquers all. I know that. Believe in yourself, right? All these different things. These mics are literally like, I love mics. I do we have a mastermind and we have contests and so forth. So I love to show it off here, and then I send it to the contest winner. So everyone wins a cool mic, and it's pretty cool. But these are just reminders, And I
Mhm.
went through a friend of mine named Marie Diamond, who's in The Secret, and she talks about feng shui and so forth, and where to place things. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I love surrounding yourself by the things that are going to matter to you, or mean something to you. Writing your mission statement down nearby, having it on the coffee cup that you drink on every single day. Like, I think that's a brilliant idea. I love that. I love the idea of, having a whiteboard where you just write stuff down, or a card. Yeah.
There you go. The
With
creed that I have.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. So, waking up in the morning and sharing affirmations about yourself. I really truly believe that affirmations work. I think visualization techniques work. I was an athlete in college, and literally those mindset things were game changers
Yeah.
for myself and for my team. Like, the reason we won Big Tens every single year is because we all practiced mindset. The
Yeah.
reason we won nationals in 2007 was because we were visualizing it. We were like practicing. We were acting as those winners, like the
Right.
people who were going to be on stage at the end, because we already knew it in our minds. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It
Right.
was amazing. And so I just totally like believe in self-affirmation
Yeah,
and
it's something I remind myself all the time, Christine. It's called like game day is just practice day in public.
yeah, yeah. In public, practice day. That was a huge thing for me. The year we won nationals, I remember every single practice. I thought to myself, I was a rower. Rowed D1 for
What
the
city?
University of
What
Minnesota.
Minnesota? Okay.
And don't you know?
Oh,
And I remember every time we got on that Mississippi River and I sat in the boat, strapped my feet into the shoes and all that jazz, I would just pull harder every stroke. I was like, this stroke is going to be better than the last stroke. Like, my mind was so focused. I
yeah.
didn't get distracted by the birds or the smells or like the feelings of the environment, what was happening. Like, I was so in tune and focused to like what my body needed to do and how to focus on my muscles and like what
You're in
to
the
do
zone.
every single stroke. Yeah, I was so in the zone, and I practiced being in the zone stroke after stroke after stroke for an hour and a half on the water,
Yeah.
every single practice until we reached the finish line of nationals,
Yeah.
which was, I believe, in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So it's just kind of like, oh, and orange is Tennessee's color. So
There you go.
um,
Have you rowed in on the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia area? I'm sure you've done that.
I have not
Oh
rode
my,
on the Schuylkill. I've been on the Schuylkill, but I haven't rode on the Schuylkill. I
oh,
know that's kind of
beautiful.
crazy because I grew up in the Northeast. I actually looked it up when you said Jericho, Vermont, because
Yeah.
I remember I'm from Saratoga Springs, half an hour north of Albany.
Yeah.
So we actually grew up kind of like in the same general
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
of the Northeast, that cold,
I used to
cold
drive up and
weather.
down all the time there. It's a beautiful area. And I
The
love,
I-94,
yeah,
I-80.
I love telling my brother I'm going through Albany because he can never say Albany. He's like, Albany?
Albany,
So,
Albany.
but yeah,
What?
I love it. I love it. And
That.
it's amazing. So yeah, being in the zone, being in the zone. And there's a great book called Flow. And
Mm,
Flow talks about being in the zone, and being in the flow state. And the flow
yeah.
state, like I'm in the flow state right now. Here's the deal. Like for me, being on this camera in your interview and so forth, I'm here to be myself, to be me. And I'm in that flow state. So if I'm true to myself, then I'm true to the audience members. And that's where it's a great place to live, because then you're not thinking of, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? No, you're the real you, and that's why they invited you to speak to that group. Does that make sense? Same thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And before we leave, do you have a few more minutes?
I have
Okay.
3 more hours. When are we going lunch?
Great. So I'm back on your press page, and something that stands out to me, right? You have your speaker fees listed.
Okay.
So for 45-minute talk, that's $7,000 you charge,
Yep.
or your team charges.
Yep.
Internationally, that's $10,000. So I think that these are amazing numbers, and also thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. I'm
That
here.
that's so I'm wondering, when did things switch for you? When were you able to start putting these speaking fees out there, and people were like, "Oh yeah, we'll pay it."
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that all of your listeners should already establish a speaker fee immediately,
Okay.
like right now, like today. Like take 3 seconds. Ready? Okay, now you have one. Okay, so that was my 3 seconds. So I believe that all of you should already establish one. Just put it in the universe. Put it on a piece of paper. Put it somewhere. Put it on a little sticky note. Put it on your computer. Okay,
Hmm.
and pardon me. And establish that, because you have to like wear it here. You got to try it on. Like try it on. Like Brian always used to tell me, try on that jacket. Try on that coat. You know, you got to wear it for a little while. And it'll feel a little uncomfortable at the first. Maybe the size is a little different, right? So okay, adjust the size a little bit. Maybe you don't start at 7,000. Now I'm not sure which. Actually, I need to talk to my team, because it's 9,000 for the 45 to 60 minutes, and
Update that website.
so it's already it's elevated already. But try it on, right? So for your listeners, I'm not sure where you're at in this speaker fee or podcast fee, or whatever fee you're talking about for you and your program, but try it on. And so I learned that you want to start off. I started off years ago at $1,000 a speech, and I would do. See, most people sell themselves short. Most people say, "Oh yeah, I'll work with you like as a coach or something for like 6 weeks straight, 2 hours a week, and I'll only charge you $500." It's like you just sold yourself so inexpensively. So what I would suggest, because it's not just buying your time, it's buying your knowledge, your expertise, your what the book, did I show you the book earlier? Think and Grow Rich. Bam. In fact, I've built an awesome book series through Habitual Warrior and my publishers based on the 13 secrets or principles of Think and Grow Rich. And one of them is called specialized knowledge. So what's happening is they're paying for your specialized knowledge. Like Christine, you know so much value. So you know so much to help other people, and they're paying for that so that they can benefit as well. So what I started to do was $1,000 for one speech, and that speech was about 60 minutes long. And then someone came up to me, and actually I'll mention I'll mention a story about him as well if you have time. His name's Ruben Gonzalez, and I know you're an athlete, and this gentleman's awesome. So I'll tell you about him in 2 seconds. But Ruben comes up to me, and we were actually this is so funny. I'm just going to tell you, since you told the prison story, I'll tell you this one. So we were at an event, and there were famous people that were on stage. Ruben was one of them. I was kind of up and coming. There was Brian Tracy and so forth. There were a few other people. I'm not going to tell you who was in the restroom, but we were all lined up on the urinals. Okay, I'm telling you, we were all just chatting our way for a minute, right? And Ruben turns to me and he says, Erik, pardon me. He says, Erik, you just have to double your rates. Just double it right now. So literally in that restroom in Hoboken, New Jersey area, I believe it was, I decided, okay, instead of 1,000, I'm going to do 2,000. And I said, as I went into the lobby and talked to him about this a little bit more, I said, I don't know, it feels weird. I mean, how am I just going to automatically double my rates? He did it, and people started paying it for it. You have no idea how many people need you and want you. And it's the difference between like if I say I want to go get a I don't know, a t-shirt or something, I could go to Walmart, or I could go to Brooks Brothers. People are it's still same t-shirt, same value, same everything, but or same concept, but the value is different, the perceived value. So I raised my rate to 2,000. Then I raised it again to 4,000. Then I kept on raising it, and people seem to keep paying it. So I'm like, let's keep on going. So soon it's going to be up to 20,000. I mean, that's what, if you go up to my buddies like Jack Canfield and Les and all these other friends of mine, they're at 25 to 30,000. So, and it's worth it. I mean, think about it. How many people do you need to help to be able to bring to the next level? Right? It's worth it. So a quick story about Ruben Gonzalez. Love this story, since you are an athlete, an amazing athlete. He was a soccer player from Argentina, but he wasn't all that great at soccer. He was in Houston, Texas, and he's always dreamt about going to the Olympics. Always. And you know what? I should invite him or introduce him to you, so maybe you can interview him sometime. So he lives in Colorado now. Great friend of mine, and he's always wanted to go to the Olympics. he just didn't know which sport. He's like, what am I going to do? I want to go to the Olympics. He loved Olympics, loved it. So he decided, he's asking people, and they're like, well, what do you like? What are you going to do? And so forth. And somehow he was turned on to the luge. Okay.
Mhm.
The luge. So the Olympic Committee, he kept on writing them. This is before internet and everything. So he kept on writing letters to the Olympic Committee, and they said, well, depending on your sport, here's the deal. If you'll go for Argentina or run for Argentina, I guess, I don't know how you say that, represent Argentina, then we have a spot for you. There's this new sport coming around that not many people know about. You may die, and it's really tough. Not many people get to, live through this. They have lots of broken bones, and if you're willing to do that, then I'll put you in touch with the person. He goes, great. He goes, and the guy on the other end of the phone's like, I just said you're gonna die, broken bones, everything. He goes, great, because they call me the bulldog, and if everyone else is breaking their bones and quitting and dying, or not dying but quitting, then I'm going to excel even more, because I know me and I never quit. And they're like, all right, Haas, come on down here, because they called him Haas because of Texas. So he goes to join the Olympic Training Committee, and he went to Lake Placid, New York, right near you.
I've been there.
I know, it's amazing.
Beautiful.
And he goes to Lake Placid at age 20. Oh, he was older. He was like 20 or 21 years old. You start at like 8 years old or 9 years old in this sport, but he was 20 years old, and he goes there with his brother. He says, I'm only coming if I can bring my brother. They're like, all right, bring him. We'll kill you both. Okay, fine. He goes over there. He's in the Olympics, the training, and he's doing this, and he's in the luge. By the way, if you don't know what the luge is like bobsled without Bob. Okay, or without the sled. It's just Bob. Okay, it's like this. It's like, woo, right? It pointing down and downhill, going 90 miles an hour down this icy slide like this. And you have zero brakes, by the way, he says. You know what the brakes are? Which is interesting. It's a parable for
your body hits the
no, close. Yeah, that would be one brake. But the realistic brake that he wants to hit is, it is your body. It's when you pull yourself up. So you're laying down, you pull yourself up off of the sled, and the wind hits you with, he says, a ton of bricks. He says it hits you with 2 tons, is what he said. 2 tons or 1 ton. He says it's double your, it's around 1,200 pounds of pressure on you, is what he said. And he says, like, he gets down the hill, and he does one thing every time he gets off the run. And he's done about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 runs. Okay. Mm-hmm. One thing he always says to himself as he's doing this, he grabs his helmet, he undoes his strap, he grabs his helmet off, and he throws it. As he throws his helmet, he says, I'm never doing that again. That's what he says. And the helmet goes flying. And right then, a line coach, that's what they call him, apparently, a line coach comes up to him and says, Ruben, it's coach. Here you go. And it was a walkie-talkie. And the guy just starts talking. There's no like press the button or anything. He just appears. And it's the coach from the top of the hill, the real coach. And he says, this coach is like Arnold Schwarzenegger on steroids, more on steroids. Okay. And he says, starts with, now, Ruben, talk to me about what you did. Yeah. Talk to me about what you did on curve number 7. Did you curve your toes too much? And he brings him and he talks him in his ear, right, with the line coach, and he talks him down off of his chaoticness, off of his craziness, right? And then he gets off the thing with the coach, and he says, coach doesn't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. Then he starts thinking, he's like, wait, I did point my toes a little bit. Wait, I did do that. He's right. Give me my sled. Where's my helmet again? He's looking down I'm going back up to the top. I'm going to do it again. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you shared. I got chills right now thinking about this. That's what you shared earlier when you went and did that first newscast and you froze, and your line coach said, Christine, do you have the script in your hand? And you're like, yes, I do. Hold on. Okay, great. And you started it. Right. So sometimes we just need those coaches, those mastermind people to help you and bring you to the next level,
Yeah. Sometimes, I would say most times, we just need a little help. We need a little person in our corner. Not that we're not awesome on our own, but I believe in the power of community. I believe in the power of leaning on people to
Yeah.
help you when things get, because sometimes I mean, I believe in awesomeness. I believe attitude is everything. I believe in these things, but I also truly deeply believe that without the people in my life who have picked me up during hard times, I would I would just still be stuck someplace low.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
all
sometimes
about
you just,
support.
yeah, you need that support. You need that coach. You need that person to push you to do that next thing and to get yourself out of your head so you can again achieve your awesomeness. So, yeah, really great way to bring it full circle, Eric. Are you a professional at
I
this?
don't know what I at this point, we don't know. That's a about last night movie line.
Okay. So something else I just wanted to point out, right? So, have you been on stage recently? Are you like is it Clubhouse? Is it Zooms? Like, right? Because I mean, we're all on these virtual stages these days, right?
Right.
But what has it been like to be, because I assume you've still been hired as a speaker throughout this pandemic. What has that been like to be like hired as a speaker, but to only be able to perform through Zoom?
Yeah, so interesting, great question. So as let's see, for 24 years up until March 8th, I was doing fantastic in front of crowds. And then March 8th, of course, everyone was unemployed. So then in 2020, and then I took a breather. I took the Breathe 33, which is seconds in, 3 seconds out. And I took literally 3 days in, 3 days out. Then I said, okay, let's shift, let's pivot, let's take the concepts of what I write in my books and really pivot this. So what we did was a few different things. One is my speaking on stages. I was still getting booked, and I still am getting booked on physical stages. But what we did was we flipped it, where I'm adding a virtual stage as well for their team in the year of the pandemic. All right. So what I did was, I'll give you an example. There was a big real estate company that hired me up in, I think they're in LA area, I believe, in that Southern California area. And I said, okay, great. We're still doing the same thing, the same prices, but I'm going to give you basically 2 for 1, meaning you get 2 speeches, you get 2 programs, you get 2 workshops. One is going to be the advanced one, that I mean, advanced in time. That means a virtual one like this. So they had everyone, 500-600 of their team members and agents on a Zoom like this. And then we're scheduling the physical one, which will come up in about 3 more months. So literally they get, for the still the same 9,000, they get 2 different appearances. Does that make sense? So that's one thing that you could do to pivot. The second thing that I did was I changed everything to our masterminds. So what we typically do is we have a Habitual Warrior stage, which is habits and attitude put together. I usually put 20 to 30 speakers on that stage for a 2 to 3 day period. And I switched it to online, and then we moved it to a global speakers and Habitual Warrior mastermind. So now what we do, and I'm super excited about this. In fact, your group should know about this if they want to, is really cool. What we did was we, like, our global speakers mastermind meets twice a month, and it's always on the second and fourth Wednesdays at 5 p.m. for 90 minutes on something like this, Zoom. And it's very private. And it is private. The first session, which is the second Wednesday, I have what's called a master class. So I bring in, as we mentioned, a bunch of my speaker friends over here. We bring in Sharon Lechter. We bring in Don Green, the president of Napoleon Hill Foundation. We bring in all these top name, amazing, celebrity leaders and speakers. And it's just awesome. So that's the first part of the month. And then the second part of the month, we mastermind on what we learned on the first part of the month. And that's it. It's a really, really cool system. Your team is welcome to check it out if you want. I'm happy to give you the link and all that stuff if you'd like.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share about that?
It's awesome. It's awesome. We have, it's just amazing. So if you want to check it out, just go to decidetobeawesome.com. Hey, good website. I know. Decidetobeawesome.com. And you'll see in fact, what I'll do is I'll put Christine O'Donnell. I'll put referred by Christine O'Donnell. Click on that and you'll get the really great discounted rate for the whole year if you want to join us. And it's just amazing. Like, people are coming out of these master classes, learning so many secrets. It's called Global Speakers and Mentors. That's the mastermind. And to be clear, what we do is we learn from these global speakers and mentors. So it's not technically like learn how to speak on stages. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is different things to elevate you in whatever business you're doing. If you're an aspiring speaker, if you're an aspiring podcaster, if you're an aspiring author, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or business owner, if you're an aspiring human being, you want to be a better human being, be in this, because you're surrounding yourself. Like they say, the saying is something to the fact that you're the culmination of the people you surround yourself with, and the books you read, and the actions that you actually take. So what I do is I put everything together, so I help the audience. I mean, help the world. I wear a dog tag that says NDSO, which stands for No Drama, Serve Others. And it's all about serving people. It's all about collaboration, not competition.
I love that. I love collaborating. I love that mindset. And as we are about to close out the show.
Wait, when are we going live? Are we live yet?
Mr. Awesome, do you want to share your...
Talking about my favorite shirt in the world. So I told her, I said I'm wearing my favorite shirt in the world. She's like, oh, it looks cool. It looks a little Texan. I go, yeah, but I'm in San Diego home today, but I couldn't find the other shirt I was going to wear. So this is one of my favorite shirts. And you can tell because it's got a rip in the sleeve. And if I know Christine, she's going to ask me to show you the other sleeve as well. There you go. So I made her laugh. Look at her. And since she's laughing too hard, she can't talk, I'll just continue.
I love it though, because I think we all have these things, right? Like our favorite shirts, our favorite this, our favorite that. And like, and you said, have a backup. I put this shirt on and then I spilled like a protein shake all over it. And I was like, oh, here I was trying to match his energy with my bright shirt.
Your shirt's working out now with a protein shake. Yeah, so I need to get like patches. Anyone know anyone who patches?
Just some like leather patches, because if it's your lucky shirt, it's your awesome shirt. Yeah, leather patches to match your notebook.
I don't know if I can put leather on a shirt. Maybe I should. That's funny.
Flannel?
I've had this shirt for like 20 years, guys.
Yeah. Well, I love it. You look great in it. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for what you shared about the mastermind. Yes, I will put the links to all of these things in our bio, in the show notes. So be sure to check that out.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, check it out. So we have a magazine called Habitual Warrior Influencers Magazine. And I was going to share with you guys that we have amazing individuals such as my dear friend, Sharon Lecter. She wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She's written this book right here, Think and Grow Rich for Women. So if you're a podcaster and you want to learn from amazing individuals, like we just had Cynthia Kersey on our Global Speakers Mastermind. She founded something called the Unstoppable Foundation. So we're talking about like high-end, amazing individuals. Be there, be with us, and get the discount. Can I give them the discount? Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, well, secret. So let me bring the microphone closer. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. All right, oops, I just moved the whole thing. All right, so the deal is it's normally $20,000 for the whole year, okay? But don't worry about that. What we did was we did something called compassionate pricing or pandemic pricing, okay, which is really cool. And what we did was we brought it down for those who have met through Christine, and I'll put together on decidetobeawesome.com. I'll have a little link there that my team will put there today. So it'll be live in like 10 minutes right after this program. Here's what I'll do. In fact, team, if you're listening, do it now. All right, here's what I'll do is I'll bring it down to, if you commit for the 12 months, then you'll get in for $100 a month. I always like smile at that and laugh at that because it's so inexpensive. So we bring the $20,000 price tag usually for the mastermind down to $1,200 if you sign up for the whole year and just join our tribe, join our team, and let's all grow together. And so I can buy another shirt.
You won't buy another shirt. You need that shirt.
This shirt's mine.
Eric, Erik, Mr. Awesome Swanson, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for serving our audience. I so appreciate it. And for more, be sure to check out decidetobeawesome.com. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Christine.